The Earth's waters contain many mysteries, most of which have yet to be found. With only an estimated 2% having been explored, we know more about the moon than we do about the oceans and seas that make up our planet. So it's pretty exciting when a discovery is made that rocks not only the scientific community, but also the world of ufology and even archeology. And yes, this discovery was made underwater.
In 2011, a team of Swedish divers who were on a mission to find a sunken ship filled with cases of champagne happened on what seemed to be the find of a lifetime. An unusual, and not to mention huge, anomaly was viewed on the floor of the Gulf of Bothnia between Sweden and Finland.
Numerous theories of what this mysterious anomaly could be range from a naturally occurring formation to a crashed UFO, and even that it could possibly be the lost city of Atlantis. But what are the facts behind this case? And is there any proof that holds water to any of these theories?
Today, we'll explore the angles and dive into the information that makes up the mysterious story of the Baltic Sea anomaly. And be sure to stay tuned till the end, where we'll give our personal opinions on the case and decide if there's enough evidence for us to support any of these theories.
Thanks for joining us today on the Supernatural Tendencies podcast. I'm Alex.
And this is Christy.
And this is episode 2, the Baltic Sea anomaly. When Swedish divers Peter Lindberg and Dennis Asberg set out on a treasure hunt to find a lost sunken ship, they probably never dreamed that they'd happen upon what has been termed the Baltic Sea anomaly. The duo, which make up the Ocean X team, have been exploring the waters of Northern Europe for over 25 years, uncovering hidden treasures such as antique alcohol and historic artifacts being the focus of their underwater exploration. They have both located and assisted with many both historically and monetarily valuable finds, such as an American B-17 bomber in 1992 and a sunken shipwrecked schooner, Jönköping, found in 1997, still loaded with her manifest of antique champagne and cognac. 2,400 bottles of Heidsiecken Company Monopole Gout American 1907 champagne were salvaged from the wreck in 1998 and garnered world record prices when auctioned off at the famous Christie's auction house in London.
So to say that these two men were experienced divers goes without saying. But their discovery in 2011 has sparked more than its fair share of controversy, and with new information concerning the case being mentioned on their website in June of 2019, it seems this story isn't going away anytime soon. And this may be to the dismay of some, because it has been reported the two have even received death threats surrounding their discovery. So what did they find, and what possible explanations exist to what it could be?
Our story begins in the summer of 2011, when Mr. Lindberg and Mr. Asberg were diving off the Gulf of Bothnia in the northern Baltic Sea. As they often did in previous expeditions, the men were using underwater sonar equipment to uncover a possible shipwreck in the waters between Sweden and Finland. The team noticed that when they were directly over a certain area, their equipment would cease to work properly. When the images came back, a mysterious formation measuring a massive 210 feet across and consisting of strange, well-defined grooves and lines that formed nearly a perfect circle shocked them both. At a depth of approximately 300 feet beneath the water, the blurry images reveal what looked to be a crashed UFO, or possibly remains of an ancient buried city.
There are three main theories as to what it could be, and of course each has its fair share of supporters. Now, Lindberg and Asberg never made definitive claims regarding their beliefs on its origins, citing that they were initially baffled by what it could be and looking for answers. Many believe they allude to the fact that extraterrestrials could be to blame. But is there any evidence to support this theory? When viewing a 3D model of the strange mass, it remarkably resembles something familiar to Star Wars fans everywhere, the Millennium Falcon.
But even more interesting is that a supporter of Ocean X was able to restore images that were damaged from the team's sonar equipment and created a 3D model of the surroundings of the anomaly. They discovered a small underwater mountain, roughly 1,500 meters, a little under a mile in size, with a split through it and a ridge or landing coming off of it, leading straight to the mysterious anomaly. Could an alien spaceship have crashed into the Baltic Sea, splitting an underwater mountain and coming to rest inside of a ridge of sediment and rock? Rumors have begun to circulate that the Russian government and its military were very interested in whatever the team had found, giving theorists even more fuel for the fire.
It turns out that the strange formation isn't comprised of any unknown or even known metals, as one would assume that it would be if it were in fact of extraterrestrial origin. Jarmo Korteniemi, a Finnish planetary geomorphologist, claims that the ridge is a naturally occurring rock formation called a drumlin that is formed by glacial action. There is also a smaller, similar formation in the surrounding area of the anomaly that has the exact same ridge pattern. And geologist Volker Bruckert claims that samples taken from the anomaly contained fine crystals, which means that it is made up of volcanic rock that cooled quickly. And a few others concluded that it may even be a meteorite. And the interest in Ocean X team by the Russian government wasn't due to any UFO craft, but instead due to a Russian submarine found by the team just off the coast of Sweden.
But some experts say it most likely can't be a meteorite because there isn't an impact footprint around the structure like is seen in most meteorite impacts. And not much volcanic activity happens in this area, but Brucker does admit that the formation does outwardly look to be man-made, and theories that it could even be the lost city of Atlantis soon began to surface.
The Archeology channel on YouTube has made claims that the structure is actually a submerged monumental construction from the Paleolithic era. They claim that there are huge geometric symbols that are cast into the exterior of the building, and that they represent hieroglyphs of the global Atlantean culture. Most consider this theory the farthest possible from the truth, and have even branded the reported online videos from the source as fakes.
Whatever the origin of the Baltic Sea anomaly, it continues to stir debate among researchers and theorists alike. And some, such as Jonathan Hill of the Mars Space Flight Facility, bring into question the ultimate motives behind the Ocean X team's claims, especially after plans were started to chauffeur wealthy patrons to the site by submarine. According to their website update, Ocean X team, quote, has made a new interesting discovery near the Baltic anomaly, and data is being processed. More to come.
What was that?
It's just hot in here.
Oh, I know, yeah.
I feel like I need to vocalize the expression of heat in my body.
It is sweltering. I'm melting.
I don't know.
You remember I used to do that when you were little?
Yeah, you used to scare the shit out of me.
You and your little dog, too.
Real bad.
I might do that one of these days. I'll sneak over to your house, get under your bedroom window, and be like, I'm going to get you and your little dog, too.
Well.
Widow will flip out and run under the bed.
Oh, now I just hope.
Yay!
I hope every day just to be taken away.
You hope every day to...
Just be...
Where's that witch at? Where's them flying monkeys?
Just taken away from all the problems, like to
no,
more hellish Neverland.
I love that music. I wish that could be our theme song. Dun 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 dun. You know, where the witch is pedaling on the bicycle.
Mm-hmm.
Dun 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 dun.
Or maybe we could just go see.
Nobody has a visual to what I just did. No.
Or you just go see the Baltic Sea anomaly, which is the topic for this week. So we started this research last weekend, I believe it was. And lo and behold, finally, in the research that we've done, we got an actual documentary to go off of. And in my opinion, it was great.
It's a really good documentary. You know, and it's really cool, too, if you get a chance to go to the website, the actual, the Ocean X Team website, and check it out. I think they're doing a lot of really cool stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, what was the name of it again? And we could post it in the show notes, but just so we could talk about it here, it was a timeline documentary, and I think it was called The Mystery Beneath.
I believe so.
I think that was what it's
yeah,
called,
The Mystery Beneath. Yeah.
And it's only like an hour long, so if it's something that you want to get into and watch, it's not terribly long. We were talking beforehand that it's right up my alley. I liked how it was worded and everything else, and it comes complete with the crazy sea captain in there.
Oh, you gotta love the crazy sea captain.
I don't know if you pay attention to him. Like
yeah.
he was bitching about it being too cold, which being a Swedish boat captain,
I know, like come on, right? What?
Come a long way from their Nordic past. And then suddenly he like whipped out an accordion. Did you see that?
I must have missed that part.
Yeah, he whipped out an accordion that he couldn't play, and he said, "I need to spend more time on it." So maybe if he was a little warmer, his fingers weren't so cold.
Oh well, maybe if he was playing that accordion, his fingers wouldn't be cold.
Chicken or the egg.
I'm just saying. Yeah, I'm just saying.
Okay, so the Baltic Sea anomaly. There was actually a little bit here and there. I shouldn't even say a little bit. It was actually kind of a lot of actually delving into the different theories of what exactly could be. We did touch on the three main categories of theories, of which were, and this is going right offhand because I don't even think, can I pull it up quick enough for it? Ugh. Nope, I'm not even going to do it. Was it extraterrestrial, naturally occurring, and man-made?
And man-made
were the three different categories, and everything. There's so many. All of these could be sorted into those three. It's kind of sad when you have so many theories that you have to categorize them.
Well, and it's kind of like that with a lot of the different, paranormal, extraterrestrial. I think a lot of times too, people when they think paranormal, you automatically think of ghosts or something to that effect. But actually, paranormal covers everything. So.
Yeah.
But I think in a lot of these cases that you have that, it could be any number of possibilities.
Oh, it most certainly could be. And I liked this one because of the plethora of theories. I mean, I guess I never really thought about the different cases of paranormal supernatural things that have categorized theories behind them. But this one, it just for some reason jumped out. It was more prevalent to me. They became more prevalent to me. And it kind of made it more digestible. I mean, sometimes you get into some of these cases, and it's I don't, at the risk of sounding like a jerk, kind of long-winded. But with this one, you could take it in bite-sized chunks and kind of go over each theory yourself and see what kind of makes sense to you and what kind of doesn't. And ultimately, that's what kind of hit home with me with this entire story, specifically with the Ocean X case and what kind of happened to him throughout, at least that documentary, was that they can do more research. We can do more research on it. It's there. It's physically there. All they need is just that time and that little bit of money for more expeditions, and that's it.
Yeah, and that seems to really be the whole problem that they're having now. I know if you visit their website, they have right on there, we need donations. So apparently, getting funding for this is turning out to be a problem.
Yeah, I mean, it came down to the point to where. You know what? Maybe we're putting the cart before the horse on this. Before kind of explaining it, we're just kind of going off on whatever we want to talk about, which is totally fine. But let's kind of bring everybody up to speed because we did leave a little bit out of the narrative in the beginning. Essentially, when they had went down on their second try, because they had the initial try in 2011, which is where they initially found it.
Yes.
They got to come back a second time, which is what the documentary was about, was that second trip. Upon going down, they did take a sample of it, which they found to be most likely like a volcanic rock. And they had taken it to, was a geologist, was it Brucker? I believe it was Brucker.
Yeah.
And he had said that it does look like a volcanic rock, and it looked like it had cooled quickly because the crystals were very fine, as opposed to if a volcanic rock cooled a little more slowly, it would give time for those crystals to actually form and become much more prevalent. But towards the end of his interview segment on that, he did say that there were parts of the anomaly that by the sonar looked more dense than other parts, and he postulated just from what he saw that it could be like a framing. And in the documentary, of course, they kind of lead you, is it a metal frame?
Yeah.
Or something like that, like a steel frame? But that's just one of the few things, for example, that make this tangible thing that we can reach, worthy, more worthy of exploration and continued research.
Something that really kind of I'm not sure about is, I know with his the samples that he reportedly examined and tested, with it being the volcanic rock and containing fine crystals. But I had read something else. I can't remember where I had read this. I looked at so much information, but they had said in a couple of the different articles that there were two, I believe it was minerals or types of rock that were also in samples taken, and that those, and I should have wrote those down. I can't remember even what they were called. But one person said that no, these types of rocks are not naturally forming either underwater or due to volcanic activity of volcanic lava. And then the other another person had said, "Oh yeah, it's totally normal for those to be there. It totally can happen." So I'm kind of, it's conflicting stories there when you're getting results that are taken from the site, and you're still getting conflicting reports on what the actual makeup of it is.
Yeah.
So, is it lava rock? Is it something else? I don't know.
Do you happen to remember the background of the person that said that it's not naturally occurring in the area? Like, were they from a school? Were they from an institute?
Yeah. It was, they were, I believe they were scientists, actually.
Just a generic term, scientist?
Yeah, just, your run-of-the-mill scientist, that lives next door.
Oh, yeah, like Gary.
Gary, you know Gary?
Yes.
Oh, I love Gary.
Gary the scientist.
Gary the scientist. Yeah, so it just really seems like whatever person is doing the research, it really kind of seems like it is dependent on their view of what the mystery could be. So if they're, if the scientists examine it is saying, oh, I really think this could be extraterrestrial in nature, or I really think it could be, remains of an ancient city. It's almost like they're going to look for those types of things. Do you see what I mean?
Well, that's...
but if they're non-believing of it, they're going to be like, oh, no, it's just lava rock.
Well, that's kind of like the idea between using the scientific theory and then, or I should say, having a preconceived notion and looking for that preconceived notion, because 9 times out of 10, if you know what you're looking for, you're going to find it.
Yeah.
So that's why I asked the background of the person who said that it's not naturally occurring. For example, like if you have a scientist that's based in like some type of anthropological science, then maybe they're leaning towards more of it being maybe some type of civilization. And the only thing is kind of each area of study would kind of have its cuckoo ideas. And I would assume, like in the anthropological world, like the idea of the Atlantis or the lost city of Z or something like that, would kind of be that cuckoo area that may get their funding pulled depending on where they're getting their funding from. And that's kind of like the hallmark of this area of discussion throughout time, well, recent history I should say, is that if you get too crazy, if you get too crazy, then you get your funding pulled. So that you have to start to wonder, like, where is the funding coming from, and is it justifiable for the person to possibly get that funding pulled? Like if they're serious about it. So just summing that up, I think that just could. I guess I'm going to end it still in ambiguity in saying that kind of led credence to maybe how solid the idea could be that someone would go out on the ledge in their particular field and kind of say, yes, I think it might be this or that. For the possibility of it getting their funding pulled from where they're wherever they're getting their funding.
Yeah.
Or at the same time looking at the other way, like I said, in how viable of an explanation that could be.
Yeah, or what kind of results are you going to be able to provide?
Yeah.
And I can understand that, but then you look at other cases, like Oak Island, for example. How much money has been millions has been dumped into Oak Island, and I mean they found a couple little things, but no massive treasure that keeps everyone tuning into the show and continuing to have digs there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I can understand that to some point, but I think this could actually possibly be something.
Yeah, and that you know what, that's the exact point without having that specific example that I kind of came to too, is the Oak Island, for example, seems to have a lot of engineering thought put into it to make
definitely.
sure that you don't get, if there is anything in there, that you don't get to it very easily, as opposed to this, that there's not really an engineering issue with it.
No.
And I'm not a diver, and so when I say it's only 300 feet deep,
It's only 300
it's only
feet.
300.
Come on.
But
Yes, sissy, get in there.
but it seems to be relatively straightforward to get to. There's nothing really barring your way, besides, from what we've seen with the Ocean X team, maybe financial support. So
Exactly.
another point that I kind of wanted to go over is when the documentary kind of first started, with when they initially came out with the find, the slew of emails they had gotten. I think one of them was quoted as saying they had like 50,000 emails.
That's crazy.
On it alone, with just everything running the gambit from I think it's this to I think it's that, and of course you have the people that say that it's a portal to hell.
Oh yeah, I remember reading they actually received quite a few death threats from religious people.
See, and I think those came after. I mean, I think they voiced that after. When was it? When they came out with the statement, when the press kind of got a hold of that, it was a volcanic rock, and basically, kind of sweeping it under the rug, that it wasn't anything to worry about because it was just naturally forming. And then the death threats came. And that was like, why? Like, why would you go out and commit death threats like this to these people's families if it's just volcanic rock? Like, what's the problem?
Yeah.
And personally, and I want to clarify this now, me personally, I don't think that it was because something's being covered up at that point, because you would think stuff like that would have happened before this point.
You would think.
Not when you come out in the press with a viable option that would put most skeptics to bed. Like, that's it, like, well, not skeptics. I think I used that wrong phrase there. But
theorists.
Most theorists to bed, putting the bulwark behind in front of the skeptics there with the volcanic rock. Oh, that's it. Done. Why would you need to threaten people then if it's just volcanic rock? Let them do what they want to do.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was pretty interesting, and you could tell, unless he's a really good actor, I think it was what was the second one's name?
Mr. Asberg, yeah.
That Asberg kind of felt, really felt, concerned for his family, and I think at some point, like, I kind of got the vibe that he was kind of like just going to give it up.
Yeah, which understandably so.
I mean, was it really worth your family dying? Like, I think they even said that it would be a shame if, like, I visited your kids at kindergarten.
And for the life of me, I can't imagine someone. I mean, they're just, this team is just trying to uncover what. It's not like they went searching. Hey, let's go see if we can, find some stuff to stir up controversy.
Yeah.
They were looking for a shipwreck.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they stumbled upon this, and, oh, what is it? So then it becomes, and to have someone actually come in and say, oh, well, what you're theorizing or what you're looking into goes against, my whole way of life. It's that cognitive that just, I don't know. That really just perplexes me. I can't wrap my mind around someone thinking that way.
Yeah, and let me delve into this real quick too, because they started bringing it up about midway through that documentary of how people started to think that they're just in it for the money. Of course they're in it for the money.
Well, yeah.
That's what they do. They've had at least 2 to 3 other big finds. One was did you see that one ship that they actually found and then raised and then put together? It was an old, what was it? It was like medieval ship or something.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course they found the champagne.
Yeah.
And they found a few other things that were all auctioned off. So yes, it is about the money.
Yeah.
But the thing you have to think about, and the thing that I was saying to myself the entire time, was that with this anomaly, it's an anomaly. They don't know
what it is.
It is. It could just be volcanic rock. It could just be big hunk of stone that was naturally formed or brought here by natural processes. It very well could be. But if they're spending this much time and money, is the juice really worth the squeeze on it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They've literally found just expensive champagne and cognac before, okay? Yeah. And they made money off of it. But how long do you have to stay at a certain spot to see what something is before you just got to chalk it up as, well, that's interesting, but it's not going to make us any money.
Yeah.
So yes, it will make a lot of money, but they could be spending their time anywhere else searching for tangible things that people find immediate value in.
Yeah.
So what's the point? You know?
Yeah, exactly. And then too, you factor in, like we were just talking about, receiving death threats and all of that. And, so I find it difficult to believe that their motives behind it would be nefarious. I don't know
Okay.
what would be the right correct word. I don't think they're up to any good, or you know what I meant.
Any
No
bad,
good,
right?
no any bad.
But
yeah.
even so, like in this particular circumstance, like what bad could they be up to? Prove me, like
True.
tell me if I'm wrong, because I'm totally open to be proven wrong. But like, what bad can they be up to that isn't already established in their line of work?
Well, yeah. I mean, are they? Could you, with this Jonathan Hill, proclaiming that they're just trying to get a name for themselves, or just, whatever. They've already got a name for
They
themselves.
do. Yep.
I mean, they've already had numerous discoveries and,
Yep.
and explorations and stuff like that have gotten their name out there. So they're not just some, little rinky-dink little diving team that no one's ever heard of. These are, they're a legitimate team who are professionals,
And as long
and
as-
they are well known.
Yep. And as long as they take the post find procedures, if they find anything legally and the way it should be done, which to my understanding, that's been their history.
Yeah.
Like I said, with the two or three other finds that they've had, and especially with being, I'm not sure where the lines are drawn in the Baltic Sea for like who owns what over there between, I know Sweden's there, Finland, and I'm not sure who's to the immediate south. Is it the northern coast of Germany? I'm not sure.
I can't remember.
Regardless where those lines are drawn to give anybody dibs, but as long as they go about it in a way that's legal to everybody involved, which again I have not heard otherwise with this team.
Yeah, no.
I don't see anything nefarious about it. I don't see anything worthy of death threats. I don't see anything worthy of saying they're being disingenuine when that's what they do. They're looking for stuff.
Yeah.
And if they sell it, that's their job.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't. That's one thing. Like I kept coming to. Like I don't.
No, I did too. I kept going back to that. They're just looking for fame, or they're just looking for, to get wealthy off this. And I just thought, what?
That's
They're already known. They've already got,
that, and that's kind of the goal.
Yeah.
Like, but then, how long do you stay at a certain spot? Like I said before, I said it like twice now. But how long do you stay at a spot? How long do you attempt to get funding for a spot? Just leaking money like a sieve.
Yeah.
Before it's not. So this is something more than just a possible shipwreck with whatever in it. And at the same time, though, it could be. Maybe it is just an odd looking ship. I don't know, and they don't know. It could be just a pile of rocks. But regardless, this is their livelihood.
Pretty weird.
This is their livelihood, and this is their job. So if they don't find anything, then they don't make money. But if they do, they will. I promise you, make money.
Definitely.
Whether or not they're finding a ship full of awesome alcohol and selling it at Christie's, or they find an alien spaceship that was discombobulated upon entry of the planet that's got aliens with 14 heads in it. It doesn't matter. They're still going to make money. That's the goal of their project.
Yeah. Or if it would happen to turn out to be remains of some ancient, now underwater city.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have cases of that all the time. I was watching, it's been about a month ago. I think it was actually on the History Channel. It was a documentary over in Egypt where they, along the Nile River, and they had, they were doing some type of water, like relocation thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've heard about this.
Nope.
And so they had dug this long, huge trench, and they were going to reroute the water system to bring, a new way to bring water through there.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the course of them doing this, they had actually unearthed an ancient city. And I cannot even remember the name of it. And so they immediately brought in all these archaeologists, and I think they had a team of over like 200 people there because the time constraint, they were like, okay, hurry up and get out whatever you can because, here in a month or two or whatever it was, we're going to let that water loose and then it'll be gone. You won't be able to get to it. And so they were pulling up all of these like mosaic, tiles and all this artwork and jewelry and pottery and gold. And I mean, just like you would actually crap if you've seen all the stuff that they pulled out of there. Crazy gorgeous stuff. And so they're rushing around to do this. Well then, meanwhile the team is going, or the excavating team is going on through and they're digging up, more of this trench. Well, they kept finding city after city after city digging for this trench. And and the whole time I'm thinking, and they're talking in the documentary. They're like, well, we got to hurry up. We're not going to get, with this city, we're not going to be able to get to the other cities to be able to explore them before they release that water. And all I could think was, why are they still going to release that water? I mean, you find all this ancient stuff, and it seems to me that they're all just kind of like, who cares? So I think it's kind of, I got that same feeling when I was, doing the research for this case. I thought, here's, again, we don't know, but it could potentially be the same kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And who knows what we would be able to find, but it just seems like, again, for them to get that funding and be able to definitively say, okay, this is something or this isn't something.
Yeah.
But I think either way, it deserves to be checked out because, like those cities in Egypt, what kind of information? Who knows what we could uncover?
Yeah, I mean, to further that point of they're out to make money. At one point in that documentary specifically, and you can even go to the Ocean X Team's website to see this for yourself. It said they've even went to like selling merchandise like T-shirts and sweatshirts and stuff.
Yes.
And I'm not sure how much money you would make off that.
A lot of T-shirts.
Yeah, and you could probably argue this both ways as to no, they're not trying to make money, or yes, they are trying to make money for whatever purposes. Either way, you'd like to debate it. But that's, I mean, if you were a big company such as that, like, you must be down to the wire if you're just trying to sell T-shirts to get funding.
Yeah. Or they believe in it so much that, hey, we really believe there is something there. Maybe something under the lava rock.
But we're kind of talking about pennies on the dollar when we're talking about exploration equipment and, dive procedure costs and all that. Another thing that I kind of wanted to get into too, is didn't quite go into the description of it in depth in the narrative of what the anomaly is, and I kind of wanted to get into it here a little bit just to give a little more specificity to it. The anomaly, if you see the pictures of it on the sonars, I believe they have it on both side scan sonars and the 3D mock-ups of it. It's essentially a circle, but in the middle of, I believe, the south side, maybe I'm incorrect, but on one side of the circle, it kind of abruptly stops the circular motion and kind of dips straight in, making it look like, how would you describe it?
To me, it looks like
a rectangle cut out of it.
Well, if you drew the letter C, okay, it was a fat C.
There you go.
And then it has, so picture that, and then where you have your opening for the C part, you'll see all of these lines coming out off. I'm not sure really how to. Well, that are incorporated onto it, I guess.
For the vague description of the shape, it almost looks like a Pac-Man, but instead of a triangle mouth, he has like a rectangle mouth.
Yeah.
And then on one side particularly are these striations.
Yeah.
Would that be a proper word? Because they look very prominent and straight.
Yeah, grooves, they're deep grooves.
Almost possibly like step-like in their appearance.
Yeah.
Also, another thing that we did not mention in the narrative is they also have found like it was a hole drilled into one side of it, or like on top, kind of on one side, drilled down, and there's almost like a framing around it, like if someone had put a frame around the hole on it. So there was one idea that it was like a well of some kind.
Yeah.
That maybe it's not in use anymore. We just kind of forgot about it. And hey, look at this thing. But they started bringing up pictures of some type of oil rigging or oil tubing construction made out of concrete that they commonly kind of like take across that part of the Baltic for different areas of transporting it to different areas. But they had specifically mentioned also that this thing is about double the diameter of these. I can't remember the term for them. The circular tubes for that.
Yeah.
So it is much bigger than what.
Oh, it's massive.
What those are.
When I first started in with the case, I guess I was kind of unprepared for how big this thing was. I thought maybe, I don't know, smaller than a house, in diameter wise, and then when you actually see the video and you see how massive this thing is, and it really does look like the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just.
So people went crazy when someone made that connection.
Oh, yeah.
Of it being the UFO. But we also see this kind of the idea of the straight right angles and then the distinct lines going across it. And I wish I was a little more prepared to give you the word, but there's the same kind of thing off the coast of Japan that's becoming, more known now.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to do a show about it in the future that has almost the same air about it, that it kind of feels like an acropolis of some kind underwater that has these buildings on it, because it looks man-made because these lines are so straight. There's like square holes going through some rocks that are like pinpoint accurate to where they start on one side and come out exactly straight in the other, in accordance with these step-like lines across the top of it. And there's of course been debate back and forth as to whether or not it's man-made or it's naturally occurring, because of course the people who think it's man-made say, in nature, things don't come out to be right angles all the time, consistent in a pattern that would make it look so man-made that it's uncanny. And of course, the people on the other side would say it does happen, it can happen, and that's why we don't see it often, but it can happen. Mm-hmm. But when you look at it, I mean, I'm telling you, you would...
Straight up
if not put in the context of any questioning, and someone didn't explain everything to you about it's possible, murky ideas around it, you would think that, I don't know what exactly it is, but somebody built it. It's for something, know?
Yeah. And that was pretty much my interpretation. Whenever I saw it, I thought, yes, I understand that things like that, like you said, happen, in nature, although rare, it does happen. And I understand that. But when you actually see the pictures or the 3D, mock-ups of this thing, and you see the video that the Ocean X team shot, it straight up. I mean, that to me, that doesn't... and I've seen a lot of the documentaries where they're showing things like this and explaining, okay, this is how it happens in nature. We know how this happens. But looking at those mock-ups and that video, the videos... to me, it just does not look like it is something naturally occurring.
Yep. We could take this a step further to something that we did mention in the narrative of, and this was towards the end of the documentary, that they had found that underwater mountain about a mile south of the anomaly.
Oh, that was split in two.
That was split in two.
Very weird. Yeah.
And there was like, and I couldn't quite understand if it was a ridge or was it a ditch coming out from the split leading to the anomaly.
Okay. What it looks like is, so what it really looks like is, of course, underwater. So picture a mountain underwater. So it really looks like this UFO crashed into the Baltic Sea and then split this mountain in two before, skidding into the sediment on the bottom of the sea there, and coming to a rest. Yeah. That's really what it looks like.
So it is a ditch and not a ridge.
It is. There's when it kind of goes off to the end there, so you see what I'm going to say would be like a UFO looking spacecraft, just so you can, visualize it. Yeah. But hanging off the edge there. So the UFO craft itself would be the actual ridge. Do you see what I'm saying?
Okay. And then also, they said that there's another ridge,
correct,
like it just north,
a smaller one,
and then another kind of odd shape.
Yeah.
And then they didn't go much into it, so maybe they haven't because I guess that would make sense.
They haven't
Obviously, they haven't went back
down there.
But they had said, it's promising to be even more interesting than the actual anomaly.
Yeah, and and that's the weird thing too, is you can say, okay, well, if this is a naturally occurring phenomenon, there's nothing special about it. Okay, I get that. But then when you when you factor in, okay, well, you've got this mountain-looking thing that's something obviously split in two, and then you have it where it looks like I said, like it's skidded to a stop. Whatever this is, skidded to a stop.
Yeah.
You factor in all of those things together, and that's weird.
Yeah. It's still interesting regardless. And what I think is best about this whole story is, until we have definitive proof, I think that every one of these theories is still completely viable.
Exactly.
That's what makes to me a great story, is that, any one of it still can be just as viable as the last.
Yeah. Yeah. And even with the samples, you could say, how deep were these samples that they took? You know what I mean? So if you just scrape a little bit off the top of it, versus if you go down into it and try to get, like a core sample or something like that, but there's really no definitive of what type of sample they took.
Yeah.
Was it a surface sample or was it a core sample?
Yeah. And I think we keep coming back to the same conclusion that it would just be nice if we could just go back and do some more explanation. And of course, I just said we, like you and I are going to go.
Well, let's go.
Okay.
I can dive. I can dive in the Baltic Sea. What?
Come
on now.
You get cold at 70 degrees.
Get my backpack. I can do this.
Okay.
I'll put me on some flippers and we'll just. I'm gonna go get the answers. I'll be right back. Hold on a minute.
Hold on. We'll take a quick break. We'll figure it out real quick. Did you have anything else at all? Any thoughts, questions, concerns?
No, I don't think so. I think, but like you said, I think this is definitely a case that deserves more investigation.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting.
Yeah.
On the whole.
Yeah.
All
absolutely.
Right. Sounds good. Well, I'm gonna keep looking at this. I'm gonna keep coming back to it because it's ongoing, and I'd like to see how it ends. I hope we have something better to go on soon, and I encourage everybody else to do the same, and hopefully we'll have some answers.
Yeah, definitely. And also, while we are, we'll keep track of this case and all of the updates, and be sure to go to our website, and you'll find the link to that in the description. And if we find anything, if we find any updates, we will most definitely post those on our website for you all to take a look at.
Most certainly. I think that wraps it up for today. We would like to say thank you one more time for coming on board with us this week. If you have any comments, questions, critiques, or suggestions for new show topics, please send us an email at supernaturaltendentiespodcast@gmail.com. We also encourage you to get over our Facebook page at Supernatural Tendencies Podcast and go ahead and just smash that like button if you would. We're also available on Instagram if that's more to your liking. Please pass us around to your friends as well, where they could find us on Podbean, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, and most other major podcast platforms.
And remember, if you're having any type of paranormal activity or extraterrestrial contact, I offer private coaching online via Skype or Facebook Messenger to assist you with those issues. Feel free to visit me at ChristyJohnsonSadler.com for contact information.
Till next time, this has been Alex.
And Christy.
See you later.